OUC continues to plan for the impacts of Hurricane Milton. While it's difficult to predict the exact amount of outages we will experience at this time, we are preparing for a large percentage of our customers to be without power, which will take multiple days to restore. And because large trees brought down by wind and rain can uproot water pipes, customers could experience water service disruptions as well. So estimate to have 1 gallon of water per person per day available. As we are asking for our customers to prepare, we are doing the same. We are increasing our restoration resources to 5 times our normal size in order to respond to outages caused by the storm. We're so grateful for local technicians, tree trimmers, and safety assessors, and those who are coming from states as far as California, Nebraska, Missouri, and Michigan, to name just a few. They'll work alongside our OUC employees to restore power lines and fix issues so long as it is safe to do so. To restore power in an orderly and safe fashion, OUC first evaluates damage to the electric system immediately following a storm. It will take at least 48 hours for us to provide a system-wide estimated time of restoration once the storm passes. Rest assured that crews will work as soon as it is safe to do so. First, we will begin restoring power to critical areas such as hospitals, police, and fire stations. Next, we focus on repairs that restore power to the most customers in the most efficient way possible. And then finally, repairs that impact only a few customers at a time will be worked last. We ask that you make sure your contact information is up to date in our customer information system by visiting my.ouc.com and reviewing your contact information. If you haven't already, you can register for OUC outage alerts in English or Spanish by texting REG to 69682. During the storms, customers can visit ouc.com to view our outage map or reportages online or by calling 407-423-9018. We are currently providing limited customer service operations and will fully transition to storm support only by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Also, disconnections for non-payment have been suspended at this time. Make safety first is our #1 value at OUC, and that includes the safety of our customers, our employees, and our community. Consider all lines, as well as trees, limbs, and anything else that can encounter a power line as energized and dangerous. Remember that floodwaters can also be energized by down power lines or other electrical equipment. Never run a generator in a closed space, indoors or near open windows. Ensure that they are outdoors and well ventilated. More safety tips like this are available at ouc.com/storm center. In closing, on behalf of all OUC employees, I thank you for your support and your patience as we work to respond to Hurricane Milton this week. Please stay safe, and it's my honor to turn this back over to Mayor Demings.
Okay, I know we shared a lot with you this evening, but we want to make certain that we do stay in communication with our residents throughout the storm. And I want to share that you can certainly, if you're reaching out for any Orange County related government services while the storm is moving forward, you can simply dial 311. You can do that from either your cellular phone or your landline, and we have a staff of people who will be answering those lines. If you have specific questions about anything that we have talked about, shelter locations, etc., they have all of the information there at their fingertips if it's a non-emergency situation. Obviously, if it's an emergency situation, you need to dial 911 like you would customarily do. I do want to also share with you that you can get information by following us in social media. You can go to ocfl.net/Milton. Again, ocfl-net/Milton. There will be information there in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. So it is multilingual, and you can get information about our shelters, etc. At this time, what I'm going to do is open it up for any questions that our media may have. If you have questions in Spanish, we have the ability to do some translation here. Also,
and that is your latest update from the leaders in Orange County as Hurricane Milton, currently Category 5 status, heads closer and closer to Florida. They are expecting this to maybe be a pretty significant rain event. Going to get some heavy winds as well. Orange County most likely going to see power outages and flooding in those low-lying areas. Whenever the county has updates, we're going to let you know right here on News 6.
In the meanwhile, our coverage of Hurricane Milton continues after this break.
When every minute matters, News 6 is getting you all the facts and every detail that matters to you. When breaking news is happening, turn to News 6. Pin it your best moments now when you download our updated News 6 app. Tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Tune into the Black Men Sundays podcast. Hear real conversations from African American financial experts and discover key techniques to make your money work for you. Black Men Sundays, every Sunday on clickorlando.com.
It's really about getting the truth, trying to dig down and figure out how this story impacts you.
We're breaking down exactly what's happening so you have the answers you need before you go to bed.
News 6 at 11.
Get the most out of News 6 with our Insider newsletter. Sign up to be an insider today at clickorlando.com/insider.
My wife's been in and out of the hospital. This was really going to help out.
So when you need results,
Go to Channel 6.
Subscribe to News 6's Strange Florida newsletter at clickorlando.com/newsletters. See the stories you want first with the News 6 app.
I'm so grateful. I thank you so much for everything that you're doing for me and my kids. There's still people in the world that has a heart.
WKMG hits the road live. Are we coming to your neighborhood?
to find out, go to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad.
A local man's property deed was stolen without him even knowing it.
I thank you so much for doing this story because I just want other people to know that this could be happening to them.
So we worked with officials to protect you. Now, over 3,000 people have signed up for fraud alert services across Central Florida.
You got results. I didn't think we'd have that many people signing up.
And I'm so grateful for you for, bringing some attention to this because it has helped so much.
News 6, getting results. Get all the theme park scoops with our In the Loop Theme Park Scoops newsletter. Get the latest news that impacts you instantly. Turn on push notifications now in the News 6 app, powered by clickorlando.com.
Go to clickorlando.com and sign up to be an insider so I can bring you exclusive contests, stories, and behind-the-scenes footage.
Contact Channel 6. We've got almost every dollar back. I sure appreciate you being there when I need you.
As a working mom of two, I know how crucial it is to be ready for any type of weather. From sunny skies or a chance of rain, from tropical storms to hurricanes. So whether the sun's shining or the storms are rolling in, I'm here looking out for you, helping you start your day, staying ahead of the weather, and making your mornings a little brighter. I'm meteorologist Candace Campos. Let's tackle the day together, weekday mornings on News 6.
Got something to say? Leave a comment in the all-new News 6 app.
This is News 6 at 6:30, getting results. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
Yeah, we are glad to have you with us tonight. I'm Matt Austin. We have crews all across Central Florida gathering the latest info on Hurricane Milton preparations and orders, but we have to begin with our chief meteorologist, Candace Campos, with a look at that forecast.
At this point in time, this extended coverage is a public safety, and that's the reason why we're going to continue to really track this and continue to stay on air throughout the duration of that storm. And by the way, when Matt and Ginger say we have reporters everywhere, they also have their safe spaces. So we made sure that every duo that is out there, a photographer and a reporter, they all have hotels or places to stay that they are going to be able to ride out the storm. So that is what we're doing here. We are practicing what we preach and making sure that you have your ways of staying safe, whether it's going with to other family members, whether you're going to be staying in place or you're going to be evacuating. All those plans need to be figured out by noon tomorrow. So let's look at what we're talking about here. It's Hurricane Milton. It is still a Category 5 hurricane. It weakened for a few hours today. It was was going under some structural refresh when we talk about that eye replacement, and that is why the storm went from barely seeing an eye over the last few hours to a really defined center. A textbook Category 5 storm. You can see it wasn't very clear, and then all of a sudden it finally got its structure back in place, and it restructured its eye, therefore replacing it, intensifying it back to a Category 5. Category 5, Category 4, we're going to continue to see these little wobbles, these little shifts in intensity. But at the end of the day, the model consensus still remains a major hurricane on its approach towards Central Florida. Now, whether it's from Tampa south through Cape Coral, that's really the basis of where that center could go. Latest models trending a little further south, but here in Central Florida, we are still going to be seeing those impacts, and that center, that core, critical when it comes to those damaging wind concerns will be coming through late Wednesday and into early Thursday morning. So these are your to-do timelines. This is the way my brain works, so I'm trying to kind of slice it how I hope many of you guys are also thinking about the storm. So by sundown tonight, your preps need to be done. Those outdoor stuff, the preparing your home, the outside of your home needs to be done. And then as we head into your Wednesday, by about noon, that's when we really are looking at the time to shelter in place until about Thursday afternoon. So this is the timeline. Let's talk more impacts. Right now, standing by is meteorologist Jonathan Kegas.
Hey, thanks, Candace. Yeah, we're going to continue our county by county coverage now, leaving off with Orange County. Coming up next is Brevard and Flagler, so stick around for that. Wednesday evening through Thursday evening, this is going to be the worst weather getting into Orange County and really all of Central Florida, as Candace was just talking about. The winds sustained at times, especially in the southern half of Orange County, back into the 55 to 75 mile per hour range. Gusts could top 90 miles an hour at times through the height, likely sometime early to mid Thursday morning when that thing is really starting to ramp up and race through Central Florida. Rainfall at about 3 to 6 inches. We keep on talking about that drier air getting pumped back up the peninsula on the back end of the storm to cut down rain totals. The heaviest rain will likely be northwest of I-4. That includes us in Flagler County. You see what happens here, 5 to 10 inches of rain, so significantly more than what we would see in Orange County. Also dealing with the storm surge of about 3 to 5 feet as the hurricane exits back into the Atlantic. The winds shift out of the north and east, pushing back the Atlantic. So we are watching closely for our friends in Flagler Beach into Palm Coast as well. Also along the St. Johns River at Astor with that north wind off of the St. Johns there, watching for the river to get backed up again. We could see wind gusts of 85 miles an hour right along the coast, especially as the hurricane pulls away later in the day on Thursday afternoon. In terms of Brevard County, as we take a trip back down to the south down I-95, we will be watching Polk County, we will see Wednesday evening to Thursday evening again for our worst impacts. Gusts at times 70 to 90 miles an hour. If we continue to watch that little southward jog, impacts are going to start to go up the further south you are. That would include us in Polk, Osceola, and Brevard. So we are watching those trends very closely, 3 to 6 inches for rain. And then again, for us in Brevard County, we also have the surge to contend with. That tornado threat going to be there with wind gusts potentially pushing 85 miles per hour, Candace.
The overall idea here, Jonathan, is no matter where you are in Central Florida, the threat needs to be taken seriously, and we've been seeing that throughout the last day or so. A lot of people heeding those warnings. So this is why we want everyone kind of in place by about lunch, because we are going to continue to start seeing those conditions really worsen as we progress into Wednesday afternoon and into the evening hours. Even though that center is still miles offshore, we're going to start factoring in a lot of these feeder bands that will have that punch and the potential for those quick wraparound rotating storms. So these little supercells here that our modeling has been picking up and has been picking up for the last couple of days. So really much in agreement for the last couple of runs that we are going to be seeing a lot of rain in a short amount of time, even as late as about 11 o'clock. Then we start talking about that critical time for the worst of the wind. This is that core that will approach as early as about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, then cross almost traveling along I-4. Of course, that center could fluctuate just a little bit. This is when we're really going to be in the weeds of things as we continue to see kind of the worst of the winds on that right side, where we will have that potential, those supercells, as it approaches parts of I-4. And then as it exits, that was Jonathan was mentioning, that wraparound wind is where the next concern will come in when it comes to the storm surge late into the afternoon on Thursday. But now let's check on that hour-by-hour forecast for today.
Your forecast is sponsored by Florida Lottery.
All right, so let's break down the next couple of days. At the end of the day, you need to find ways of being informed throughout the day on Wednesday. That is easy. That's when everyone is awake. The critical point is when that center, that core, comes through Central Florida, slicing through overnight Wednesday and into Thursday morning. With that being said, finding ways of being alerted, whether that's enabling notifications on your phone, make sure you're not silencing your phone. The dorky option is the NOAA radio. That certainly will wake up the entire house if you need it. Or another way of doing it is putting shifts, right? Having someone stay awake for a certain amount of time overnight, making sure that somebody in your household is monitoring those updates from News 6, clickorlando.com, and our Pinpoint weather app. But at the end of the day, we have that cold front come through. And as we kind of turn the corner and more focused on cleanup, that weather at least will be cooperating with conditions staying relatively dry. Back to you guys.
Candace, thank you. Our coverage of Hurricane Milton continues after the break.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
At News 6, you can see the commitment to breaking news. We don't stop until everything you need to know has been uncovered. Our choppers in the sky, reporters are on the streets, and news teams are where they need to be. We do this for you. Breaking news on News 6.
Nobody knows traffic like a trooper. Get real advice from Trooper Steve on News 6 Mornings.
Hey, go to clickorlando.com and sign up to be an insider for exclusive content.
Got something to say? Leave a comment in the all-new News 6 app.
Because of you, the insurance people decided that they're gonna help. You did it. Channel 6 did it. And that I will say thank you.
No matter where you are, stay safe with severe weather updates from News 6. Turn on push notifications in the News 6 app today.
People sometimes aren't as sensitive. I trust Channel 6. You're the only news reporter I allowed into our home.
WKMG hits the road live. Are we coming to your neighborhood?
To find out, go to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad.
You're one of our insiders, right?
Yes, I am. Honestly, a nice thing that you guys do, and it pulls us in even more. Really appreciate that.
See the stories you want first with the News 6 app. Available now in the App Store.
Hey, welcome back to our coverage. You've heard us mention the News 6 Hurricane Tracker app several times.
Yeah, so this is an important tool to have during the storm in case you lose power. The layout makes it easy to track a storm, receive important updates, and follow continuing coverage. It gives you access to our interactive radar and live streams. If you lose power, you can still watch us through the app by charging your phone with a power bank or through your car outside of the garage. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos and the Pinpoint Weather Team are always updating Milton as we get new information. Download it right now. You will be so happy you did.
Our coverage continues after the break.
You're watching News 6 Plus.
Welcome back. Time for Ask Trooper Steve, where we answer questions that you send in. And so today it's about U-turns.
U-turns, interesting question here, and I think we can all answer. By the way, Kelly has re-emailed me saying that she did not do this. She observed it. So
okay, Kelly.
if there are two left turn lanes, can U-turns be made from both of them? Well, Kelly, so now that you're explaining this a little bit and you didn't do it, I feel your pain. Now, I've never seen this done.
Maybe Kelly was net.
Maybe, and then realized, hey, bro,
what are
you doing kind of thing. So, all right, we have two left turning lanes here quite often here in Central Florida. This looks like 436 and Curry Ford if looking northbound there. Used to go to the car wash right over there. So if you're here in this right-left turning lane and you wanted to go southbound, no. Absolutely not, because you're going to cause a crash, improper use of a lane. You need to be in the far left lane in order to conduct that U-turn, and of course, make sure there's no signage saying you can't. Now, if you're out here and you make that type of turn, think about what you're doing. You're crossing in front of all this other traffic. It's going to be an absolute mess. Please do not do that.
And watch out for those right on red people when you're doing a U-turn.
It's a jungle out there, y'all.
Be safe. And if you have a question for Trooper Steve, go to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve. It is 5:45 on your Tuesday, and it's time for Ask Trooper Steve, where we answer the questions that you send in. And today we're talking about a busy local intersection.
Yeah, I like these questions because they're so specific and we can have some fun with it. So this is the question. If someone is making a U-turn on southbound 436 at University Boulevard to get to that mobile gas station, who yields to who? Rachel is asking this. So we've got the intersection right up here, and this is what we're talking about, right? So true north at the moment, okay? So 436 is right here, north and southbound. This is what we're talking about. So if you're here trying to make that U-turn
to get into
mobile, you're allowed to do it because there is not a no U-turn sign here. And then this is what they're talking about. So westbound University, and then this is a mandatory right turn because it's got a nice positive median there. So if you're making this U-turn, you're kind of good to go because of the positive concrete, that barrier here. If you're hopping over the curb, we have a secondary problem. Here, this right turn needs to stay directly to the right there. There is minor signage here. So at the end of the day, who would yield to who? You kind of got to pay attention to each other a little bit. Maintain your lanes. But technically, if both are conducting at the same time, I think we would avoid a crash out there. We might be good to go.
Pay attention. Thanks, Trooper Steve. If you got a question for him, you can let him know on our website. Just head to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve. It is 5:45 on your Tuesday. That means it is time for Ask Trooper Steve, where we answer the questions.
Now at 7, we are getting a clear picture of Hurricane Milton's path toward Central Florida. Some people already taking extreme precaution, evacuating. In this video right here is actually from Jacksonville. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Justin Moorman.
And I'm Lisa Bell. So here is the latest on Hurricane Milton right now. Evacuation orders are now underway in parts of Central Florida. Flagler County announced the evacuation order there starts tomorrow morning at 8. It is for people living in mobile homes and RVs all across the county. Also, all coastal and island communities and people living south of State Road 100 or Moody Boulevard and between Moody Boulevard and the Palm Coast Parkway. Also, people living north of the Palm Coast Parkway are told to evacuate.
In Volusia County, the evacuation orders are in effect for all of Zone A. This is all the areas east of the Intracoastal Waterway. It now also includes parts of Daytona Beach, Holly Hill, Edgewater, Oak Hill, New Smyrna Beach, Ormond Beach, Ormond by the Sea, Port Orange, South Daytona, and Daytona Beach shores. The evacuation order applies countywide to people in manufactured or mobile homes, RVs, low-lying areas, and areas prone to flooding. Marion County has issued a mandatory evacuation order for people who live in those type of home or areas, and in Sumter and Lake, they recommend people who live in those types of homes or areas to evacuate as well. Leaders with Health First Cape Canaveral Hospital say even though there's no evacuation order for the barrier islands there, they are being cautious and they are evacuating that hospital. All Central Florida schools will be closed Wednesday through Friday except for Sumter County.
Now, let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos with the latest look at the storm. Candace, we got that 5 o'clock update.
Yes.
And for people, who may not know what that showed or just saw it, maybe online or something, it looked like it shifted to the south a little bit.
Right.
The latest track, which seems like that should be good news for parts of Central Florida.
At the end of the day, really, the little further south track, there's some models that keep it there. So I feel like National Hurricane Center has trended a little further south. I'm not sure if it's going to stay that way. So at the end of the day, we're still talking about a Category 3 storm, whether it's a few miles north or a little few miles south. There has been a lot of chatter about that southerly track. A lot of it's really kind of honing in and the narrowing of that track as well. So they're starting to limit and starting to bring down kind of that northern side of that cone. So sometimes it looks a little bit more of a shift than what it actually is. Let me explain in just a few seconds. Let me show you here satellite imagery. Right now, that center of that storm still a Category 5 hurricane, sustained winds of 165 miles per hour. We do have hurricane hunters in there. Last check, they do have picked up peak flight level winds, by the way, of 171 miles per hour. So this is still a system that still has its act together. That it will start to interact a little bit with a front coming in from the north. That's going to add a little bit of shear. Some of that dry air will start filtering in and starting to filter into that system on the southern end of it. So that combination starts helping at least weaken it a bit. We're still talking about a major hurricane approaching the coastline here. Last model run had a little further north into Tampa, this icon at least, right? And now it's shifted a little further towards Bradenton. Here in Central Florida, there's no real big difference here. We're still talking about a dangerous core sweeping through Central Florida late Wednesday night and into early Thursday morning. So I don't want us to get super in the weeds on little shifts here and there, because at the end of the day, we're not looking at a shift that's going to completely push us out of any big hurricane impacts. The model run still showing a big sweep across the area, but this is the shift that a lot of people have been focused on. It's not really the cone, but more those computer model runs. But these do fluctuate a little bit, a few miles north and a few miles south. Jonathan, David, and I are all back there really kind of pinpointing, trying to figure out what those computer models runs look like. We're getting new ones in. So again, this is going to be something we'll continue to track all throughout the night and into leading up into landfall there. Big time impacts nonetheless, whether we shift a little further south, a little further north, we're still talking about hurricane force conditions. More on that. Meteorologist Jonathan Keggis is standing by.
Yeah, this is just kind of a wide view of the potential wind impacts. It's important to remember as well, the storm is going to be north loaded. So the further south that it goes, the heavy rain threat will go up as well. So it's not all good news when it goes south. It will also have the potential to make landfall stronger, because then it's going to miss out on some of the wind shear that's expected to hit it on the northern side. So if we do see that jog continue, it's likely going to make landfall as a much stronger storm than currently forecast as well. So a couple of things to keep in mind. Nonetheless, from Ocala into Palm Coast, expecting wind gusts of 55 to 75 miles an hour. Remember, these are gusts now, where we're talking about wind gusts potentially going over 75 miles an hour. That's going to be for most of us into Sumter County, into Lake. That's going to be through Winter Springs and Seminole, into Orlando and Orange County, Daytona Beach, into Deltona, into Volusia County, and then a lot of Brevard, especially from about West Melbourne, Palm Bay. That's where we can get those wind gusts, again, north of 75 miles an hour. From Lakeland into Haines City, into Kissimmee, Point Siena, we're also talking about wind gusts of about 75 to 100 miles an hour. In southern Brevard, closer to Mico, getting just south of Palm Bay, we're talking about 55 to 75 mile per hour winds. And then again, the big stuff is going to be closer toward the bigger stuff, relatively speaking, the 100 mile per hour plus gusts going to be closer to the St. Petersburg, Tampa area, Sarasota into Bradenton. This is what I'm talking about here in terms of the north loaded system. Here comes the center, at least on the projected model. This is 9 o'clock on Wednesday. So this is when we're really going to have to watch for that tornado threat as well. That's one of the other reasons why once we get to especially Wednesday afternoon, just kind of hang out again. Those outer bands are going to be spiraling through in and out. The core of the system, though, doesn't arrive until we get into the early morning hours on Thursday. This is 8 o'clock. And then again, so this particular forecast model that we're showing you does take it towards Pinellas County, and then you see all the heavy rain to the north. So if this were to start shifting a little bit further south into Bradenton, into Sarasota, as some of the models and the official forecast shows, then we're talking about all this also being displaced. So a couple of different nuances. It's kind of like pick your poison. Do you want the extra rain? Do you want the higher wind gusts? Again, that's something that we are ironing out as we continue to get closer, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Now, should your home lose power or the cable goes out during the storm, you can still Get the latest updates on Hurricane Milton with the new 6 Pinpoint Hurricane Tracker app. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos and the Pinpoint Weather team are constantly updating it as we get new information. So you can download it for free right now on the Google Play and Apple App stores. And that will keep you up to date during the storm. When the power goes out and your TV shuts off, you can still know what's going on.
At this point, expect to lose power.
That's right.
And then if you don't, consider yourself lucky. But we do know the power crews are getting ready for Milton.
Yeah, News 6's Mike DeForest joins us now from a staging area for Duke Energy power trucks in Sumter County. Mike, we can see those trucks rolling in behind you right now.
Lisa, I've covered a bunch of hurricanes, and I'll tell you, there's nothing more relieving than after the storm passes than to see that line of power trucks come rolling into your community. But I think the only next better thing is to see them come rolling up before the storm even hits. As you said, we are at a staging area in Sumter County, just south of the Villages, where Duke Energy is getting all of its power trucks in position ahead of the storm. There has been a steady line of power trucks coming into this facility since about 8 o'clock this morning, coming from all over the country. In fact, some of these crews here that you see coming in are returning from doing repair work after Hurricane Helene. Now, these trucks will come on into the entrance here, and then there is an enormous parking lot. Right now, we don't even have the exact number, but hundreds and hundreds of power trucks are already in position. There's enough room here for about 2,500 power trucks, and we believe that that is going to be about the case before the storm hits. Now, what these power crews are doing is they're bringing their trucks here, they're dropping them off and parking them, and then they're checking in and being bused to hotels. They've already got hotel rooms set aside for the men and women of these power crews, and they're going to leave their trucks here, and they're going to stay in those hotels while the storm rolls over. And then, as soon as the storm passes and it's clear, they'll be bused back here, jump in those power trucks, and they're right here in our community ready to start making those repairs. Not just here in Central Florida, but this is the staging area for Tampa and along the west coast there. So these are the trucks that will be heading to right where Milton makes landfall, and there will undoubtedly be power loss, and certainly throughout Central Florida all the way up to the East Coast. This is where those trucks will be coming from, and I'll tell you, it is just such a relief to see them standing by already, knowing that they are here. They're in a safe position, just waiting for that storm to pass, and as soon as it's clear, they're hitting the road and start reconnecting those lines. Besides the trucks, I'll tell you, as we were driving in, it's just amazing to see. It may be getting a little dark, but off in the distance, you could see just reels and reels of power lines that are ready to go up. And then when we first came in, stacks and stacks and stacks of wooden power poles. When the storm rolls through, it's going to be snapping those wooden poles that are existing out there. They've already got the wood poles ready to go to pop in the ground, run those wires, and try to get that power restored as soon as possible. But talking to Duke Energy folks here, they say one thing you need to expect, you likely will lose power. There will be mass power outages during this storm. Their goal is to get it restored as soon as possible. Reporting live in Sumter County, Mike DeForest, News 6. Back to you.
Yeah, Mike, it is nice to see all that help headed our way, but we heard from so many officials today who said expect the power to be out not just for days, but potentially weeks.
Yeah.
Even though we have all that help headed our way.
And they've been busy. They have been busy. Mike DeForest reporting live for us. They've those linemen. I know one, and I'm buddies with one, and this is their time of year where it comes down to it, and they respond, and they make good money doing it as well as they get this power back on for us. Now, as the storm moves west to east, our westernmost communities, of course, will be the first to deal with those tropical storm and hurricane conditions.
Yeah, including Lake County, where we find News 6's Treasure Roberts tonight. And Treasure, they just issued an evacuation order there as well.
Well, I am here in Flagler Beach, and the residents here are taking this storm very seriously. You can see right over here, this is the garage of a woman named Christina Shoestack. She has taped tarp to her garage. She's put multiple sandbags up. She does not want any water to get into her home, and I'll tell you why, but just follow me to her backyard so you can see one of the reasons. I actually met Christina at a meeting a couple months ago, and she went to meet with city officials as well as an engineering company because the city knows that their stormwater system is antiquated and it causes issues like this. So this is Christina's backyard, and you can't really see grass. You just see water. And she said she's been dealing with this problem for so long. On any given day when it rains, just a regular rain, She says that the backyard will flood. And maybe if you take a look at this tree right over here, you can see how high the water gets when it rains. She said one of the reasons beyond the antiquated stormwater system is this wall over here. She says there's a lot of new construction in this neighborhood, and this particular neighbor built a cement wall around their home, which then pushed water further into her backyard. So that's a couple of the issues she's dealing with here. And she feels like the city did not do a good job of being proactive. When they spoke with the engineers about the issue, she says the engineers did give the city a couple small things, low-hanging fruit they could tackle in the year 2024 before actually executing a full project in 2026. And she says to her knowledge, nothing has been done. When she calls the city, they don't come out. She's asked if they could use their vac system to remove this water, yet the water is still standing. And you can take a look at her door back here. I have my photojournalist turn around. She says she's taped tarp to this door, and not only has she put sandbags in the front and the garage, she's put sandbags on the inside of her home just because she doesn't want any water to go in. We did interview her. I want you to hear what she had to say. So if you do choose to evacuate your home, are you scared that when you come back, your home will be completely flooded?
Yes, we've already prepared for the most part. There's a few things left, but I've taken basically everything up off the floor, you know, in every closet, in every nook and cranny, just in preparation that we don't have a complete mess. If we do come, it should be, you know, at least not everything that we've ever had be ruined, but I'm in complete preparation to be flooded.
And she said, of course, this is extremely devastating for her. If her home floods, that's going to be horrible. But she says just this day-to-day, having to deal with all of this water has cost her thousands of dollars. She's been living here for about 8 years, and she says there just hasn't been a fix yet. So she's going to continue to reach out to the city to see what they can do. She did hope that they could do something, though, before Hurricane Milton came to hit Flagler County. Back to you guys.
All right, Treasurer Roberts, again in Flagler County tonight. So hopefully, you know.
I don't think she's alone either as far as like needing to get this done before a hurricane strikes and then it not being done. We know that's been the story with the debris as well, lined up on streets.
And it's been a story we've been covering all across Central Florida, so many different spots, Edgewater, places inland, all dealing with this flooding issue, especially as we've been reporting in the past few weeks. We've had so much rain, and just in the past couple of days, being inundated with rain. So it's a real concern, which is why we've seen those sandbag locations so busy today. Our coverage of Hurricane Milton will continue right after this break.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health, helping the communities we serve to feel whole.
The biggest thrills, newest shows, and celebrations. Get the behind-the-scenes action with our In the Loop Theme Park Scoops newsletter. Sign up at clickorlando.com/newsletters.
My wife's been in and out of the hospital. This was really going to help out.
So when you need results,
go to Channel 6.
Subscribe to News 6's Strange Florida newsletter today at clickorlando.com/newsletters.
To everyone, it was just another case, and you looked at us like another family. I trust Channel 6.
ClickOrlando.com is the #1 website in Central Florida and best local TV news website in the U.S. When every minute matters, turn to News 6 for breaking news.
Hey, go to ClickOrlando.com and sign up to be an insider for exclusive content.
As a working mom of two, I know how crucial it is to be ready for any type of weather. From sunny skies or a chance of rain, from tropical storms to hurricanes. So whether the sun's shining or the storms are rolling in, I'm here looking out for you, helping you start your day, staying ahead of the weather, and making your mornings a little brighter. I'm meteorologist Candace Campos. Let's tackle the day together, weekday mornings on News 6.
Share all your great pics and videos and connect with your local community with News 6's Pin It, a way for you to show us what's going on in your neighborhood. And now you can pin it from anywhere. The all-new News 6 app is here to make your life easier. Tap the menu, then tap Pin It. Now tap the orange Upload a Pin and post your pics or vids. You can even catch your photos live on our newscasts. Download the all-new News 6 app and pin your favorite photos today. Available now in the App Store. Let's make the news easier for you. News 6 is streaming. Download the News 6 app and start streaming now. See the stories you want first with the News 6 app.
Welcome back as we continue our coverage of Hurricane Milton. And you look at that storm behind you, Candace, and how well defined that eye is.
Oof. I mean, and yesterday when we talked about that pinhole size, the center of the eye, the radius, got down to only 3 miles. So the tighter the eye, the stronger the storm. So it went through a little bit of eye wall replacement, I think almost 2 eye wall replacements. When these storms are packing the intensity that Milton is, it really can't sustain that intensity for very long. At one point, the eye kind of collapses upon itself, and then it tries to kind of reorganize. But you can see it over the last couple of frames, that eye has not budged much. We have hurricane hunters there zigzagging through this storm, getting the best information, the best locations, those gusts, the wind speeds, all of that, which really help us hone down on those computer models, which of course have been very consistent over the last couple of hours. Yes, have we seen a little shift here and there, 10, 15 miles north and south? At the end of the day, this system is making its way into central Florida as we head into late Wednesday, early Thursday morning. So let's give you that zoomed in cone. This is at the end of the day what we're expecting. Yes, it is a Category 5 storm. It's going to be starting to roll into a little bit of dry air, some wind shear, 2 things that help weaken the storm. It's not going to be weakening it big time, but still, we're still talking about a major hurricane approaching areas from Tampa southward through Bradenton, potentially with that landfall bringing with it historic storm surge for many folks there. Hence why we have all those mandatory evacuations on the other side of the state. But here in central Florida, we're still talking about a Category 1 hurricane exiting central Florida by Tuesday afternoon. That means between Thursday at 2 a.m. and Thursday at 2 p.m. here in central Florida, there will be that core that will have that potential of bringing with it hurricane conditions upwards of Category 2 status. So let's look at the clouds and rain forecast. Again, landfall is going to be late Wednesday into early Thursday morning, but ideally I would love to have everyone kind of sheltered in place where they're going to be riding out the entire storm by about noon tomorrow. And the reason for it is we are going to start seeing a lot of these feeder bands come through. We're really starting to hone down on the potential for supercells, and I'll show you a model there in just a few seconds, but you can see how much rain is going to be falling. This is all throughout Wednesday, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. You can see some of these bright purples, these little kidney bean shapes, as Jonathan likes to call them. Those are the ones that certainly have that potential of spinning up those fast-moving storms even before the system makes landfall. This is our supercell potential, and you can see what happens as we head into your Wednesday afternoon. Look at some of these. These little swaths here are certainly concerning for that potential of seeing those fast tropical spin-ups when it comes to that tornado threat, not only happening into 9 o'clock, but even into the overnight hours, especially there along our coastal communities as well. But not only are we dealing with the rain, we're dealing with the wind, also the storm surge. That's also going to be impacting our river levels big time. So let's now check in with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas with more on that.
Yeah, and this is something that we saw similar with Ian as it exited back onto the Atlantic side. Now, we're not expecting it to crest the St. John's at Astor at record levels. The record is, of course, with Ian. That was just a couple years ago at 4.71 inches, although it's not the greatest news because it is expected the river St. John's at Astor to quickly climb back into major flood stage again by the time we get into Thursday afternoon. So there's the timestamp at the bottom there. That's going to be Thursday at 2, getting back up to 4.2 feet. So again, just keep that in mind that we are expecting this to jump back into major flood stage because of that northeast wind. That's the problem that we have where we dump a little bit of rain. And again, the rain is not going to be anywhere close to what we saw with Ian. But regardless, the issue when we had Ian was that strong northeast wind pushing back down on the St. John's as it was trying to drain. Remember, it goes from south to north, and that's where we get that storm surge from those strong northeasterly winds. So that's going to be something that we are watching going forward. In terms of the wind, I'll show you the wind direction change here. There's 4 o'clock for you on your Wednesday. There's the gusty winds, the tropical storm force gusts starting to ramp up. By the time we get into Wednesday evening, there is 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. You see the arrows going nuts down there. That is the swirl. That is the area of the center of low pressure as it works its way out. So this is what we're talking about. Here we go into Astor for perspective. That is the St. John's River, and you see those arrows again turning to the northeasterly into a northerly component as the storm gets out. So not only are the gusts going to be strong, we had that pushback on the river to kind of bottle everything up, and then the river level goes up. So we're going to be watching the St. John's through Lake Herny, through Geneva, and into DeLand as well over the next several days. And we all know it, unfortunately, it does take forever for that river to start to go back down, Candace.
And really, Jonathan, depending on where this core and that center of the storm finally approaches and moves through central Florida, some areas will get a lot more wind, where some others will be getting a lot more rain. So it's really going to be one of the two options. Some areas obviously will be seeing both, but that is why making sure you're staying weather aware. And it's not just the typical, there's a chance for maybe an isolated tornado risk. This is a big portion of central Florida dealing with those power outages, dealing with downed trees, down power lines, the flooding threat, all of that mixed into one. During Hurricane Ian, even though rain totals are looking lower than Ian, we started getting a lot of those flash flood warnings. Those will be coming through if you enable those alerts throughout the overnight. So making sure that your cell phones, if that's your best way of getting the information, make sure to have your sound on, not silenced. The NOAA radio, that will alert you and probably alert the rest of the house with how loud it is. Or there's another option if you don't want to do any of those or you don't trust the technology, making sure someone is maybe taking shifts throughout the overnight hours, again, Wednesday night and into Thursday, making sure that someone is staying awake to monitor the possibility of dangerous storms, the big time threats that we, of course, are going to continue to track. And as we get results here with the full 7-day forecast, it's going to be a dicey next 48 hours. The strong storms followed by the wind, followed by that storm surge, but then things really look to calm down as we end the week and into the early part of the weekend.
All right, Candace, thank you. And our coverage of Hurricane Milton will continue right after the break.
Nobody knows traffic better than a state trooper. I'm the only traffic expert who's actually investigated crashes, who's patrolled these roads. I know how that traffic is going to affect your morning commute. So get real advice and start here on News 6 Mornings.
See the stories you want first with the News 6 app. Available now in the App Store.
You're a good station, you've got nice people working there, and you report the news the way it is. Very pleased with the results you got.
Sign up to be a News 6 Insider today at clickorlando.com/insider.
WKMG hits the road live. Are we coming to your neighborhood?
To find out, go to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad.
Everywhere I would turn, there was no help.
Her family home taken.
Until I got a hold of News 6 Getting Results.
After searching endlessly for answers, News 6 stepped in to help.
They reopened the case to take another look. I'm speechless. The gratitude that I have for Getting Results on News 6. Without you all, I would never have gotten this. The value of News 6. It's nice to know that someone out there cares.
Tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Tune into the Black Men Sundays podcast. Hear real conversations from African American financial experts and discover key techniques to make your money work for you. Black Men Sundays, every Sunday on clickorlando.com.
To everyone, it was just another case, and you looked at us like another family. I trust Channel 6.
Get weekly doses of the craziest, most unbelievable news from the Sunshine State when you subscribe to News 6's Strange Florida newsletter. Sign up today at clickorlando.com/newsletters. Share all your great pics and videos and connect with your local community with News 6's Pin It, a way for you to show us what's going on in your neighborhood. And now you can pin it from anywhere. The all-new News 6 app is here to make your life easier. Tap the menu, then tap Pin It. Now tap the orange Upload a Pin and post your pics or vids. You can even catch your photos live on our newscasts. Download the all-new News 6 app and pin your favorite photos today. Available now in the App Store.
The biggest thrills, newest shows, and every seasonal celebration. We've got all the sneak peeks and behind-the-scenes action of some of the biggest theme parks in the world. Sign up for our In the Loop Theme Park Scoops newsletter at clickorlando.com/newsletters.
Hey, go to clickorlando.com and sign up to be an insider for exclusive content.
When every minute matters, News 6 is getting you all the facts and every detail that matters to you. For breaking news turned to News 6.
Welcome back as we continue to track Hurricane Milton on its way here to central Florida. As we've been telling you, expect to lose power at this point. I think that's a foregone conclusion. What you can do is just be prepared. And I would say tonight, it's a great time to do that extra load of laundry while you have power. It's a great idea to run that dishwasher. Things that you don't necessarily think about, but you've heard us mention that News 6 hurricane tracker app several times as well.
Yeah, it is a very important tool to have during the storm. So the layout makes it easier to track a storm, receive important updates, and follow our continuing coverage. So if you lose your power, your TV goes out, you can still look at this on your phone. It will give you access to our interactive radar and live streams. Again, if you lose power, you can watch us through the app by charging your phone with a power bank or through your car outside of the garage. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos and the Pinpoint Weather Team are regularly updating the information regarding Hurricane Milton as soon as it comes in. And you can download that app for free right now on the Google Play and Apple App Stores. And our coverage of Hurricane Milton will continue right after the break.
Share all your great pics and videos and connect with your local community with News 6's Pin It, a way for you to show us what's going on in your neighborhood. And now you can pin it from anywhere. The all-new News 6 app is here to make your life easier. Tap the menu, then tap Pin It. Now tap the orange Upload a Pin and post your pics or vids. You can even catch your photos live on our newscasts. Download the all-new News 6 app and pin your favorite photos today. Available now in the App Store.
Log into your account on your phone and get all of our exclusive content with the News 6 app.
To everyone, it was just another case, and you looked at us like another family. I trust Channel 6.
Go to clickorlando.com and sign up to be an insider so I can bring you exclusive contests, stories, and behind-the-scenes footage.
Sign up for our News 6 Insider newsletter at clickorlando.com/insider.
When every minute matters, News 6 is getting you all the facts and every detail that matters to you. When breaking news is happening, turn to News 6.
Got something to say? Leave a comment in the all-new News 6 app. Available now in the App Store.
Get there on time with instant traffic updates from News 6. Turn on traffic notifications in the News 6 app now.
Whoa, what is happening?
We're packing up and taking our newscast on the road.
Oh, that's happening now?
Now, so let's go.
Every month, we're going to be broadcasting live from a different community.
Because we want to speak with you, hear about the things that concern you most.
It's time you create the roadmap for our newscast. See what I did there?
WKMG hits the road live. Are we coming to your neighborhood?
To find out, go to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad now.
See you soon.
Get weekly doses of the craziest, most unbelievable news from the Sunshine State when you subscribe to News 6's Strange Florida newsletter. Sign up today at clickorlando.com/newsletters.
Right now on News 6, we are getting a clearer picture of Hurricane Milton's latest path toward Central Florida. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. This is News 6 at 7:30, Getting Results. I'm Lisa Bell.
And I'm Justin Mormouth. We do have crews across Central Florida gathering the latest information on Hurricane Milton, those preparations, those evacuation orders. But we do want to start with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos with a look at the forecast. And Candace, I do like when you talk about when folks should be inside their homes, ready to ride out, or homes or shelters or wherever they're going to ride this storm out. by tomorrow at noon. I
Right.
do like getting that out there because I think a lot of people are looking at that track saying, oh, Thursday, it seems like it'll be on top of us.
Why
but
is school canceled tomorrow?
Exactly.
Right?
So break that down for us.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the worst of the weather can sometimes be felt even on the kind of those feeder bands across a big portion of Central Florida. So again, a hurricane is not just built around the eye. Yes, the eye wall is important. That's where the strongest of the winds are. But at the end of the day, the tropical storm force, those hurricane force winds do extend quite a bit. And that doesn't even include the gusts that we're also going to be factoring in. So although the landfall is still not expected until very, very late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, we're going to start seeing those squall lines coming through by about as early as 2 o'clock. I'll show you that in just a few seconds. Let me break down the forecast cone. The next one, the next refresh of the forecast cone will come at 11 o'clock. We should get an intermediate advisory in just a few minutes. But as of right now, we are still talking about a Category 3 hurricane approaching the west coast of Florida by very, very late Wednesday into early about 2 a.m. on Thursday. But between 2 a.m. on Thursday and 2 p.m. on Thursday, we're still talking about a 12-hour track from coast to coast that at some models are still showing that it will slice through parts of Central Florida. We do have the European that still takes a little further north, kind of riding along I-4. So at the end of the day, we are talking about times of very heavy rainfall that we're going to rack up a lot of rain. But also on top of that, there will be that potential as we are still dealing with the potential of a Category 2 system approaching East Central Florida. So storms do weaken considerably as they interact with land. Just how fast is it going to lose that Cat 3 down to Cat 2 to Cat 1? National Hurricane Center is still expecting Category 1 status as he emerges back out into the Atlantic. So this is one of our models. This is the European here. So you can see that it's picking up an arrival a little later at about 6 a.m. Again, that's a little later than what the forecast is calling, according to the National Hurricane Center. But I really want you to focus more on the wind speeds. These are wind gusts as we head into Thursday afternoon. There will be that chance of picking up those wind gusts in excess of 80 to 90 miles per hour. And that also does include a big portion of our coastal communities. So for those who think, oh, this is just a West Coast storm, that is not the case, because as it emerges out, the storm surge threat then starts to become the next concern, especially along many of our beaches, as well as a lot of our rivers. So talking a little bit more on your probability of seeing some of those tropical storm force wind gusts, meteorologist Jonathan Keggis is standing by with more.
Yeah, so this is a good breakdown here, and it kind of coincides with the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center. So obviously your highest opportunity for those tropical storm force winds are going to be closer to where the storm actually makes landfall. But you see most of Central Florida, really south of Daytona Beach, south of Deltona, has a 70% shot to get those sustained winds of about of greater than 39 miles an hour, which would be tropical storm force. Now, this is the hurricane force against sustained winds. Certainly the highest chance, again, where the storm itself is going to make landfall, but still 10 to 20% shot for sustained hurricane force winds, even in Orlando. And that chance goes up, as Candace was mentioning, closer to us into Palm Bay, Cape Canaveral, as the storm gets back out over the open waters of the Atlantic. So again, that's going to be something to watch there, and that's almost kind of the beeline right along and around I-4 from about Tampa, closing out through about Brevard County into Cape Canaveral. So that's going to be something we're watching for, those little fluctuations there as we move into the next couple of days, guys.
Yeah, still a lot to watch. Jonathan Keggis, Candace Campos, we appreciate it. We will check back in. Now, if you do need to grab anything last minute, you heard from our meteorologist, you still have time, but you do need to act right now.
News 6's Catherine Silver joins us live from Seminole County. Catherine.
Hi guys, we are here on Marina Island, just a couple blocks away from downtown Sanford. The marina is actually right to my left over here. I'm going to step out of the way. We're trying to use our car headlights to point some things out to you in the dark here. So the lights in the distance behind me here, that is the Riverwalk. If you're familiar with this area in Sanford, you know what I'm talking about. You can probably just make out a bit of the seawall as well. We are here on a boat ramp on Marina Island. You can see they've got the barricades up. This boat ramp is closed. We learned about a lot of closures in Seminole County today. Emergency management told us that all government offices will be closed through Friday. Also, schools in Seminole County will now be closed through Friday. The emergency manager told us this when we were at Lyman High School earlier today while they were setting up that school to become one of their 8 emergency shelters. Now, he said he's worried about flooding here in Seminole County. We know we have a lot of water, obviously. Lake Monroe, which connects to the St. Johns River. There's other places, Lake Jessup, Lake Harney, Little Wekiva River. The list goes on and on. So we saw a lot of people getting sandbags today. The last site, the Boom Bus Sports Complex, closed at 6 p.m. Now, emergency management also said they're worried about power outages. He said that up to 90% of Seminole County could lose power with this storm. He compared that to Irma, where 75% of the county was without power. So expect you will probably lose power at the height of this storm. And he said you could possibly be without power for weeks, not days. So think about that as you are finishing up any of your preparations tonight. We have met so many people in Seminole County today who have been checking off things from their to-do list all day long, filling up their car with gas, getting water and other things at the grocery store. Of course, getting those sandbags as well. So it certainly seems like people are taking this storm seriously, listening to all of these messages from first responders. And of course, we'll be with you, keeping you updated on the air and also online on clickorlando.com. For now, I'm live in Seminole County. Catherine Silver, getting results, News 6.
All right, Catherine, we appreciate it. We'll check back in with you. By the way, leaders with Health First Cape Canaveral Hospital say that even though there's no evacuation order for the barrier islands yet, they are being cautious and they are evacuating.
News 6's James Parvero joins us now live from there with more on that, James.
Hi, Justin and Lisa. So here at Cape Canaveral Hospital on the Causeway, the 520 in Cocoa Beach, Health First tells me they're going to move about 27 patients tonight and tomorrow into their other hospitals in the county. This is the only hospital that's on a barrier island. So the patients would be going to hospitals in either Vieira, Melbourne, that's Holmes Regional, or at Palm Bay Hospital. This hospital, you might remember, it's going to be relocated. So this is something that comes up when there's a hurricane. It's not uncommon for Health First, just out of an abundance of caution, to move the patients to a different hospital when the storm comes. So they're in the process of doing that now. It got me thinking when they move 4 miles to the west on the 520 over by the Merritt Island Mall, when their new hospital opens, hopefully in 2027, that they might not run into this problem any further. But here's what you need to know at home. If you have an emergency tomorrow, Health First says, do not come to this hospital. You will not be able to go to the ER. Anyone having an emergency scenario tomorrow, they will be taken to other hospitals that I mentioned, Lisa and Justin.
All right, James Parvero reporting live out of an abundance of caution. And yes, I do remember in years past for previous hurricanes, they did evacuate that hospital. Thank you so much, James. We'll check back in with you.
And our coverage of Hurricane Milton will continue right after this break.
Tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Tune into the Black Men Sundays podcast. Hear real conversations from African American financial experts and discover key techniques to make your money work for you. Black Men Sundays, every Sunday on clickorlando.com. When every minute matters, turn to News 6 for breaking news. Get all the theme park scoops with our In the Loop Theme Park Scoops newsletter. Pin your best moments now when you download our updated News 6 app.
Log into your account on your phone and get all of our exclusive content with the News 6 app.
Sign up to be a News 6 insider today at clickorlando.com/insider.
Do you know the #1 website in Central Florida? It's clickorlando.com, powered by News 6. And now it's been named the best local TV news website in the U.S., all because of you.
You trusted News 6 to bring you every live stream, news update, and exclusive story. And now the entire country has noticed. When you want to know what's happening in Central Florida, turn to the best local news website in the country. Award-winning clickorlando.com.
Hey, go to clickorlando.com and sign up to be an insider for exclusive content.
The all-new News 6 app is here. We've updated everything and loaded it with tons of new features, like a fully customizable home screen where you can log in and see the stories important to you at a glance. Stream News 6 live anywhere, anytime while you scroll. Comment instantly, post your pics and videos to pins, save stuff you like, and of course there's tons of exclusive content for News 6 insiders. Download or update your app today. The all-new News 6 app, available in your app store. Let's make the news easier for you. News 6 is streaming. Download the News 6 app and start streaming now.
Get the most out of News 6 with our Insider newsletter. Sign up to be an insider today at clickorlando.com/insider. Got something to say? Leave a comment in the all-new News 6 app. Available now in the App Store.
Welcome back as we continue our coverage on Milton. And before the storm even hits, people in one Orange County community say they don't have water, running water.
Neighbors at Starlight Ranch on Pershing Avenue, just off Cimarron, contacted News 6 to get results. News 6's Laverne McGee has the latest on that situation.
We've had no water for 22 hours. The office closed yesterday at 12 p.m., 3 days before the storm. What kind of garbage is that? Okay. Cannot get through on the phone. Their maintenance people are annoyed. Okay, the after-hours maintenance people are annoyed. Okay, so if this is no communication, which is why I left the manager a message yesterday.
Did you contact the owners?
Yes.
What did they say?
I get nothing but the mail is full. I talked to the maintenance man, telling me how they're working on it when I'm standing right there and they're not. And then they don't want it. They finally shut the phone off.
We received a message from one of the residents who lives in an over 55 mobile home community at Starlight Ranch saying none of the residents had water. We got there as quickly as we could to try to help get results for them before the hurricane arrives. I knocked on the boarded up main office door and didn't get an answer. Then I called the corporate office in Chicago and left a message. They called me back and said the water was back on and they would give me a written statement that said, in part, the outage occurred due to an electrical issue at the water treatment plant. We had our third-party electrical contractor, as well as representatives of Duke Energy and Orlando Utilities Commission at the property yesterday afternoon and today to assess the issue.
We were so happy to get results for you.
Well, I'm glad you were right there for me. It's like I couldn't believe you answered my call and you showed up, and it was a dream come true.
But we found out there may be an even bigger problem after discussing the situation with District 3 Commissioner Myra Uribe.
My concern is right now that water that's just been put back on is running on a generator. That generator is going to run out of gas. You've got a lack of water, you've got a lack of fire hydrants, you got a lack of major safety on a regular day. Now, put that higher with a hurricane pending within the next 24 hours.
Commissioner Uribe recommends all the residents who live there head to a shelter. News 6 will follow up after the storm. Laverne McGee, Getting Results, News 6.
Understandably ticked off.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, we're all anticipating disruptions once the storm hits, but for that to happen days before when you're already trying to prepare for a potential disaster.
Everyone trying to run around, get things done. Yeah. Everyone's stressed. Listen, this is a significant hurricane, but it is a hurricane that we will get through. All of us will get through. Just take a deep breath. I know you see the models. You hear from different sources out there talking about amping this thing up. Listen, it is going to be a significant thing.
And going to a shelter right now is probably not a really bad idea because now the weather's not bad outside. This is the time to do it. You do not want to wait until things get really bad. I've had some people reach out to me. They have some health issues. They rely on oxygen. They're concerned about that. Just go ahead and go. Do it now before it's too late and before you have any major regrets.
And some of them are open. Some of them open in the morning. We have all that information on clickorlando.com. And let's now check in with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. The latest on Milton. I know we are awaiting an 8 p.m. advisory, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Intermediate advisory. What are you looking for when those advisories come in?
The intermediate advisories basically are just kind of repositioning, giving us the long lines, updating the stats. So we're talking the pressure and the winds and the gusts and basically what the little panel here you see here on that screen. But kind of to hop on the bandwagon there of shelter versus non-shelter, no matter where you are in Central Florida, it's going to be an uncomfortable couple of hours as we continue to watch Milton move through parts of Central Florida. At the end of the day, it's an uncomfortable couple hours, but if you were able to get out of those shelters and out of your safe space, safe and unharmed after the storm, then that was the right decision. So you have to start thinking about that. If there's any inkling in your gut that says, I should go to a shelter, I should go to a friend's house, or whatever the case may be, just get those plans done before about noon tomorrow. That's really going to be kind of that cutoff zone before we start seeing the worst of the weather. All right, let's talk about where the system is expected to go. There's been a lot of chatter, as Justin is talking about. There's a lot of things going on the intensity. Right now it's a Cat 5. Weakening a bit into a Cat 4, possibly down to a Cat 3. Now, the models have shifted a little further south, just a little bit. And the shifts we're going to continue to see will happen over the next several model runs. But with that being said, even with a little shift further south, we are still talking about impacts here. Now, maybe that central core where the strongest of those hurricane force winds might be shifted a little further south. That still does include half of our viewing area here. That does include a big portion of Polk, Osceola, and Brevard County, as watching for that potential of that core crossing over late Wednesday and into Thursday. But for you guys in Volusia County, Seminole, Marion, Lake Sumter, that doesn't mean you're out of the woods just yet, because this system is extremely heavy when it comes to the rain on the northern side of it. So a shift further south still keeps a big portion of Central Florida under a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. So you can see here clouds and rain. This is the reason why I want everybody kind of in place. By 2 o'clock, we're going to start seeing those squall lines. Some supercell potential certainly will be embedded within some of these cells that are going to continue to kind of lash Central Florida hours before the system even makes landfall. This is 8 o'clock. You can see most of Central Florida dealing with some sort of strong to severe weather potentially. And then it's going to be that big wind event. Where will that core, where will that center actually lie? That is still yet to be really decided. It will fluctuate from model run to model run, but at the end of the day, take the precautions that you need now, so that way you're prepared for whatever shift might come our way once it does make landfall. Speaking of some supercell potential, meteorologist Jonathan Kekes has more details on what you could expect, especially for you guys there in Brevard and our southern zones.
Yeah, and this is kind of to piggyback off what Candace was saying. We may not see the widespread tropical storm force winds until later on tomorrow evening, Wednesday evening, but we're going to have those outer bands starting to come through. And I want you to focus on these colors that you see right at the bottom of the screen here. This is the computer picking up on rotation in those individual cells. They may not be exactly where you see on the screen, but it paints the picture that we're likely going to be getting into a pretty nasty environment for severe thunderstorms, including the potential for those tropical tornadoes. So there you go, Wednesday evening, 4 to 6 o'clock. This is when it really starts to ramp up, and you see these darker yellows, purples, and blacks again on the board, on the legend there. We're starting to get to the strong to extreme side of the rotation potential anyway. And again, that is the dirty side of the storm. As if it comes in hanging around I-4 and south, that would be exactly where you would look meteorologically for those tropical tornadoes, and the model guidance picking up on that. There's 9 o'clock, things kind of pushing towards the Brevard coast. So really watching for you guys along into the southeast of I-4 for the biggest tornado potential, but everybody, Candace, as you said, going to be under the gun for some nasty weather.
And then the problem is as we start seeing improving conditions on land, the storm surge that's going to start to increase. So it's really going to be a tale of the timeline. First is the rain, then is the wind, the tornado threat, and then finally with the storm surge, as we are going to get a lot of that wind piling up a lot of our surf along a lot of our coastal areas, which is why a storm surge warning is in effect for Flagler and especially into Volusia County, as there will be that potential of seeing about 3 to 6 foot storm surge. Look at the rainfall. Like I said, if that core rolls south of our viewing area, or at least across our southern portion of our viewing area through Kissimmee and Brevard County, you can notice it's that northern side of that system that we will be seeing the worst of the weather. So the main takeaways: shelter in place by noon tomorrow. Conditions will begin to improve as we head into your Thursday afternoon, and then looking much nicer though as we head into your weekend come Saturday and Sunday. Stick around our extended newscast as we continue to track Hurricane Milton. Continues after a quick break. As a working mom of two, I know how crucial it is to be ready for any type of weather. So whether the sun's shining or the storms are rolling in, I'm here looking out for you, helping you start your day, staying ahead of the weather, and making your mornings a little brighter. I'm meteorologist Candace Campos. Let's tackle the day together, weekday mornings on News 6.
The all-new News 6 app is here with a customizable home screen. No more scrolling endlessly looking for the news that's important.